got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White, you got literally, I would say what? 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back, too. I guess look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with the injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line, only on Sports.
Game Time Decisions, live with you on a Tuesday night. I'm Kevin Walsh here on SportsGrid. Loaded show for you tonight with a lot of great guests that will be stopping by. Coach James Young right around the corner as we will get his WNBA picks with the top 2 favorites in action, looking to advance tonight, which would set up a round 2 meeting, which is a rematch of last year's WNBA Finals, the Liberty and the Aces, both at home tonight with a 1-0 series lead. We will talk to Joe Madden, get picks on the Major League Baseball board from her, and potentially check in with some NFL action. We will definitely be checking in with our guy, Mike Blewett, a 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers and 0-3 Cincinnati Bengals. What's real and what is not? We have Adam Kaplan stopping by with all the latest around the league, as well as Brady Cannon, who can help us with our contest picks coming up, as well as a President's Cup preview with some big-time golf sneaking up and entering the slate out of nowhere. Excited to get into it all. I'd love to begin tonight, if I can, though, with talking about a baseball game that has already came and gone, and that was a Tigers-Rays matchup here where the Detroit Tigers win again, because that is all the Detroit Tigers do. The Detroit Tigers, at this moment, are the second wild card team, up a half game on the Kansas City Royals, who are once again suffering a nightmarish losing streak. They've lost 7 games in a row in Kansas City. They are near minus 200 favorites to win in Washington in about 45 minutes, but it gives you an idea of how Detroit's battled back, that they've also cleared currently the Minnesota Twins, who are also on our slate tonight. They go and host the Miami Marlins as minus 245 favorites, with Bailey Ober getting the baseball. But with that victory, the Detroit Tigers certainly have given themselves a great chance to make the postseason. You've got to win them all as you're playing right now. The Tigers are going against the Rays in this series, and then get a delightful 3-game stretch against the Chicago White Sox, potentially the worst team this sport has ever seen, standing in front of the Tigers and this miraculous playoff berth. But again, what Detroit did with their win today was solidify, unfortunately for me, that Tariq Skubal will win the American League Cy Young. I know many of you believe that that was already over. I know markets suggest that was the case as well. But with Skubal all of a sudden pitching in high-leverage situations, if he were to get blown up today by Tampa Bay, maybe that conversation flips. Detroit stumbles out of the playoffs, all of a sudden held against him, and then Emmanuel Clase could swipe the American League Cy Young. Instead, today, we even saw a tweet come out from Jeff Passan of ESPN, and I always note these because, remember, with these markets, these awards, they are voted on, and Passan's going to have some sway, and I think probably has a bit of the pulse as well. And inside his tweet earlier about Skubal's performance, he said, and I quote, "He should win the American League Cy Young unanimously." And whether that happens or not, time will tell. But now the expectation is that Tariq Skubal will run away with American League Cy Young in the same fashion that it appears Chris Sale ran away with National League Cy Young, despite the reality that Paul Skeens was shuffled out of that race much earlier than he should have been. We mention and acknowledge where things are at this moment with the American League's wildcard race, with these central teams all battling Detroit, Kansas City, and Minnesota. Baltimore, I know that they've been underwhelming for a lot. Certainly, I would fit that description as well, who's somebody that bet them to win a World Series. I'm kind of, knowing that they're going to be in the playoffs, it would, take an absolute miracle for that not to be the case. For me, I just hope, as long as Baltimore's in, I feel like I have a chance. Because that's what we've seen from the Major League Baseball postseasons. And we know that the Orioles have a lot of talent. All of a sudden, Henderson and Adley Rutschman and guys like that can maybe find their level in the postseason. That's where things are in the American League. In the National League, we know the race is at the back end of that wild card now with the Atlanta Braves looking up the Arizona Diamondbacks and the New York Mets. The Padres look clear currently when we talk that NL wildcard race. In fact, the San Diego Padres, you can even tell in the National League markets, are booked comfortably ahead of Atlanta, New York, and Arizona, as well as Milwaukee. If anybody's not seen those recent markets, the LA Dodgers, the favorite, plus 155. The Philadelphia Phillies are plus 195. It is in the Padres on an island, their own tier, at 6-1. You get double the number on the Milwaukee Brewers, who have already clinched, at 12-1. Mets 14, Arizona 14, and then the Atlanta Braves are currently sitting at a 20-1 number. But the Atlanta Braves undeniably control their own destiny as the Atlanta Braves begin a 3-game set at home against the New York Mets, where I have no reason to believe they will be anything other than favored in all 3 of those games. Now, a sweep for Atlanta, because these series prices are out and available in the market, pays plus 390. But Atlanta to win this series checks in at minus 176. Tonight, Severino, Schwellenbach, and you see a favorite number posted on Atlanta on the money line in this baseball game at minus 146. The game after that, the aforementioned NL Cy Young favorite, Chris Sale, gets the ball. He'll get it up against David Peterson, who's had himself a very good year. Could possibly be in a monster bounce-back spot, though. Could be a tricky game. And then the finale is going to be Max Fried up against Sean Manaea. I know it's been an up-and-down year for Max Fried, but he has been better of late, and I still think he would get favorite status over Sean Manaea. That is where you see the Atlanta Braves, I would say, flashing some value at 20-1. I don't think that, I bet Atlanta at the All-Star break, and the reason I bet Atlanta does not exist / was wrong. I bet Atlanta because I didn't project them to be in the wild card race. I thought that they would mirror the Orioles or even the Padres in this instance, where we know they're going to be a part of the dance. I thought they would be a wild card team. I didn't think they would catch the Philadelphia Phillies, but instead, injuries continuously beating up the Atlanta Braves put them in a situation where they were now obviously a big part of this race. So my initial Atlanta position is at a significantly worse number than what's out there in the market, though I do find myself somewhat tempted. And it is what we're seeing in this series against the Mets that draws that temptation out of me. 3 games against the Mets, who have for a while been playing as good as anybody in this entire league. Now, I know Atlanta's home, and being a wild card team, there's going to be a lot of road games, but just bear with me now. The Atlanta Braves are settled up to be favorites in every game in this series, and that is due to the strength of their staff. I don't have to sell you on Chris Sale. We know Max Fried has pedigree. And heck, Schwellenbach's found himself booked, I would say, pretty complimentary in a very favorable fashion. And you see that here tonight against Severino, who I think the Mets might look at as their ace to some degree. Atlanta at 20-1 has my interest. I may let tonight's game play out, but I don't think the Braves are done just yet. We're nearly at the baseball postseason. We are at the WNBA postseason. We'll break it down next.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore, because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I not see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Game time decisions with Coach James Young. JY, great to have you here, brother. How we feeling? 2 games on the W slate tonight.
K-Dub, I mean, let's be honest. 2 games on the schedule, but K-Dub, we're also creeping into the NBA season. So, we're getting close. JY needs to make a call. I need more than once a week on with my guy K-Dub.
We maybe we'll figure some things out for you, JY. Maybe we'll figure out some things. We'll make it work. I will just say this because we don't have a lot of time tonight. I'm sure, JY, I don't know if you've done the podcast. Yes, I opened today's money line after a Monday Night Football doubleheader, throwing my hands in the air and begging this league to get their stuff together and to not begin their postseason on an NFL Sunday in September. Coach, here's the again, I only bring it up because we have to bring it up, but we don't need to get into it because everybody knows that that's absolutely ridiculous. But here's what's the case, JY. There's people who are looking at Liberty Dream, Aces Storm. They didn't have eyes on these opening games. You did. You were following this action. I know that. Jets maybe on the bottom team. Well, Jets played Thursday. You can fully lock in on these games here, JY. Liberty Dream, double-digit line. Does New York close this series out tonight?
Yes, they absolutely closed this series out tonight, Kevin. What I did in game number one is I took the Liberty team total. It was around 42-43.5. They got to 50 points, scored 29 points in the first quarter. If you're Sandy Bordello, you don't play around. This was a 14.5 point spread in game one. They won by 14. To me, the best way to do this is take the Liberty in the first half, minus the points, or take the Liberty team total over in the first half. They're one of the best scoring teams in the WNBA. They'll be able to score. It's just, can they keep pace? And I think there's a secret thing people need to know about. Leona Feinbach has gone into the starting lineup. They did this in game one. They put Anescu at the one with Feinbach at the two. More length, but more shooting, and Vandersloot off the bench. That's been a recipe I think has been good for them. Look for the Liberty over 42.5 points in the first half.
Now, I will say, Coach, because we've got big favorites tonight here. I know you'll be in the mix tomorrow on SportsGrid, giving everybody coverage for the Wednesday games. I know that the Liberty being the biggest favorites aren't maybe the one where we're expecting it. But for those that don't know, the format for the WNBA playoffs, I think this is going to change eventually, but it's best of three, first two games in the favorites building, third game goes to the dog, though, in their own building. So all of a sudden you're hosting an elimination game. Do you think we will see any comebacks, or are you right now projecting every team up 1-0 in these series to advance to the next round?
Well, Kevin, let me ask you this. Are they going to allow the Ric Flair thumb in the eye to Caitlin Clark again? Because I think the one that's going three is Indiana. Here's why.
Okay.
Simply put, folks, Connecticut can't shoot. They shot 9 out of 18 from three in game number one. Marina Mayberry was 5 out of 12. She was absolutely fantastic, 27 points. They got nothing on Nelson Smith to scoreless, didn't even play, basically. And Caitlin Clark was god-awful. I thought that they were going to steal a game. I think they find a way to steal game number two. All the other games, I think the teams cover the spread, maybe not the Liberty in the first half, but I think that you should get a good performance out of the Las Vegas Aces. And why, Kevin? As I saw Chelsea Gray play like the point guard in game number one. They covered the spread, and Kevin, Kelsey Plum was awful in game number one. So they're going to cover the spread, and I do like the way that Minnesota looks. I think they are dangerous with Nafisa Collier. I think they get the job done. They send Diana Taurasi into retirement.
For me, and I may just play it across the card, leaving the Atlanta out. I know I could get burned that way. I don't see any path for the Dream beating New York. You have to understand that this is a league that's 8 of their 12 teams in. The New York Liberty finished 17 games better than the Atlanta Dream. It's not going to happen. I know, Ryan Howard missed a lot of time. The record wouldn't have been that much. They still would have been at least 10 games worse than New York. I feel like all of the other 3 series, it is on the board because you're a win away from being at home. Another reason this format I really do think is going to change. I think there's going to be more demand for W postseason action, and I think you're going to see them go to best of 5 for all 3 rounds. But, Jimmy, that means I think tonight the Storm are live in this game. They will be kicking themselves. You're not going to get a lot of great chances against the Aces. The fourth quarter performance is one of the worst that this league has ever seen offensively. I know you got to give Vegas credit. 2 points. 2 points in the fourth quarter of a playoff game that's right in the balance is unacceptable. I think Seattle can bounce back here. What are you seeing?
I actually think that the Aces are going to close this out. I like them minus the points. I think that they kind of played around a little bit. Here's the key, though. Meggeber's playing. She's not playing game number one. So that is why you could be intrigued with this. But I looked at the Vegas Aces, and they got, Asia didn't shoot the ball well, Kevin. Look at her stats. I think she shot something like, I'm going to look, 9 of 21. But Kelsey Plum, 1 of 8, 1 of 9.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Tiffany Hayes, they wouldn't have gotten that game. I think they're going to be better, but you can say Aces have had some weird, bad losses this year, Kevin, at home. So there could be a chance that Seattle could steal it, and then all bets are off in game number 3.
And I'm on an island with this one. I know, especially there was a lot of videos. Aja wins unanimous MVP. Great for her. I know the teammates and all of them rallied. I think this team has weird energy. I think despite Aja having what is arguably the GOAT individual season, they did not come near expectations. If they lose tonight, everyone will say championship pedigree, they'll win in Seattle. Nah, I'm not sure I get there. Man. I'm not sure. Quickly, Joe, because I know you're on a tight schedule. Anything else to watch for these games tonight or tomorrow?
I just think Caitlin Clark bounces back. I do look at Taurasi to retire, and I will say this. If the Aces lose this series, after all that's going on, Becky Hammond will not be back next year. Mark my words.
All right, great stuff as always. Coach James Young will be right back with you here. Quick break. It's Game Time Decisions on.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
All right, we're back with you right here. Game Time Decisions. We are live on SportsGrid. We've got Joe Madden right around the corner. Quickly with the WNBA before we let this go. We were talking with JY about could we see comebacks pulled off, and I really want to just drive this point home. If you're unfamiliar with this WNBA format, best of 3, first to 2 wins. Since they're playing it that way, they are not going to go, let's take New York, for example. New York, day off. Atlanta, day off. New York. It's just not how they're going to do it. So they run to New York, and if they have to do a game 3, they'll go to Atlanta. That is the league kind of making the most of their situation, right? Without, a league that I think just this year kind of, upgraded their flight situation. But that is not a real way to operate your postseason if you are the WNBA. I know a max 15-game postseason could feel like a lot when you only play 40 in the regular season, but you need to open this up more. You need to provide opportunities, and you really need to guarantee if you make the playoffs, you get a playoff game, right? The Indiana Fever needing to win in Connecticut to get a Caitlin Clark home game shouldn't be. The Dream needing to pull off some monstrous upset over the Liberty to get a game in front of their crowd shouldn't be. But in the same breath, the Liberty, if they lose one of the first 2 games, should not be facing elimination on the road. The setup is just not, it's not up to date, is I think the best way I can call it. But it's a league that is catching up, I think, in those areas. And again, there is going to be significantly more demand for more WNBA postseason if they can put the games on at an appropriate time. Okay? I said I wasn't going to bring it up, but again, this Sunday in September. What are you doing? But again, this is a league, and it's a league that next year is going to bring in Paige Beckers, year 2 Caitlin, year 2 Angel Reese. This year, Caitlin Clark's in the playoffs, amazing. But they're not even viewed as like legit contenders. Maybe they will be next year. Angel Reese isn't even in the playoffs. You're introducing Paige Beckers into your league next season. The Liberty, right, could potentially win a title. Or Vegas could be coming off of a 3-peat. Or we get new stars growing in Minnesota or Connecticut. You have so many things that are for your sport box office. That postseason format's going to change. But again, it does create really unique betting opportunities on these series matchups. Fever plus 660 to pull off the comeback. The Mercury 11-1. The Seattle Storm plus 750 through the FanDuel numbers just to keep it consistent. Again, the Dreamer at 22-1. I can't get there. I cannot get there. I don't see that happening. It's a rightfully monster ticket. One thing that is interesting, if you really wanted to zag, is you could bet the current team leading to win 2-1, right? So it's 5-1 for Minnesota to lose tomorrow, but then still handle their business on the road, which is on the board. It's on the board. It's not like every single year we see 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, done, next round. That's not really how that flows. The outright market, by the way, for this league has seen Minnesota jump Vegas. I think a lot of that has to do with the Liberty establishing themselves as the clear-cut betting favorites and the fact that the Liberty and the Aces will be playing in round number 2, barring big upsets. And then knowing the Liberty have home court advantage, and that's a 5-game set. That's a real home court. 2 in your building, 2 in their building. If there's an elimination game, it's on your home floor. So that is a really big benefit then for the Liberty, and it's why their numbers dropping that the way it is. It is incredible to see, like the Fever 95-1 with a loss. That number is cut in half, way more. They might be favored over Connecticut if they steal the game tomorrow. They really might. I mean, a 6-point favorite, you flip home court advantage, the game's under 2. It's 2.5 at worst. I am, and again, I may just go Storm, Fever, Mercury. We're going to get one comeback with the WNBA postseason. I think all those teams are live. I still don't believe it for the Dream. All right, it's a quick break. Joe Madden with you right here on SportsGrid. Next.
do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
All right, back at the right here. Game time decisions. Joe Madden in the mix with us on a Tuesday. Joe, how we feeling?
Feeling really good. It's Tuesday. We've got baseball. I love some good action on the diamonds, Kevin.
Yeah, we got to get involved with this baseball board here, Joe, because the postseason is right around the corner. Let's go to a game a little bit off kind of the postseason picture here with Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, because we know the Brewers clinched. We know the Pirates are out, but it doesn't mean there aren't some opportunities. What are you looking for in this game?
Well, I love looking at games like this, Kevin, at the home dog here with the Pirates. Yes, they are out and they're not really playing spoiler here, but the Milwaukee Brewers, now that they're clinched and they're not going to be able to catch the Phillies, right? They're 3.5 games behind. There's nothing to play for here. The whole point of this team right now is to stay healthy. So I do think the Pirates at home in front of their home crowd at that plus money is where my money has to go. I got them at plus 120. And I think if you can get them for any plus money here, it should be a solid way to bet them in this matchup. I just don't like teams that have clinched and have nothing to play for. So it's the Pirates for me.
Yeah, I think that's understandable. You know, Milwaukee's still going to kind of throw their guys out there, but what you could potentially see is just a little bit of a drop in focus. And Pittsburgh at home, I'm sure they'd love to finish the season, you know, above 500 in their own building if they could. Currently 38-40. It would require a sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers, but hey, why not? Anything is possible here if you are the Pittsburgh Pirates. How about the Guardians, Joe? Little Ohio battle here with the Cincinnati Reds, who for a moment I thought, hey, could this team all of a sudden, I don't know, hit my updated win total here? Then instead they lost the game to Pittsburgh that led to their manager being fired, and who knows if the Reds even have any interest in showing up to the ballpark. What do you make of their matchup in Cleveland?
Yeah, I look at this and you're right. Like the Reds coming into this, they've got to feel pretty deflated at the moment. I'm looking at these pitchers, the starting pitchers in this one, Kevin, and I'm expecting the lack of runs from the very start. I'm going to take the Nerfy coming in at minus 125 and the under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. Tanner Beebe coming out here for the Cleveland Guardians. Now he's got strong numbers and he's got a really solid home split, that 4.39 home ERA. And we have seen the Reds offense, I think the stronger of the two, but overall the Guards are just the better team here. So Looking at the pitching, I think pitchers duel to start this one. But at the end of the day, really, the Reds, how much motivation do they come out with in this first inning? I'm not seeing a lot. And the Guardians, I do think, struggled to get those hits in the first inning. Eunice coming out as 4-0 with a 2.61 ERA and a really solid whip of 0.84. So I'm expecting pitchers to have the benefit in that first inning and the first 5.
All right, Joe, what about the Orioles in this series with the New York Yankees? You know, it's interesting. You would have thought that a month ago, oh, this is going to be a marquee series. So much on the line. Yanks are 6 up. And, you know, the New York Yankees have run away from Baltimore here, which, I don't know, does that take some of the juice out for you or maybe create some value on one of these sides?
It gives me value here on the Baltimore Orioles because you look at them and you look at them how they've played in New York, and they've actually taken 4 of the last 5. And I think they come out strong here versus Clark Schmidt. He's 5-4 on the season with a 2.37 ERA, but we look at him coming back from the IR in the last game on the 7th. He did pitch nice and solid and well, but I don't know how long of a leash they give him in this one. And I know the Yankees have incredible offense when they're clicking, but I do think the Baltimore Orioles have enough weapons out there to take the win, and we've got them with great plus money. Dean Kramer getting the start. His career numbers versus the Yankees, 3-3 with a 4.63 ERA. So I do have faith in him to come out nice and strong. And with how the Yankees have played in New York, I got to grab them with that plus money, Kevin.
All right, so we got a little plus money action there on Baltimore. Joe, what about some action involving the American League West here? We're going to bring the Mariners into the fold. They are playing the Astros. You got another situation where I'm sure Seattle was like, man, this is going to mean the world here for us to play this team. And maybe it does. Maybe I'm selling them short. They took the first game of the series. If they grab the next 2, maybe anything's possible here. What do you see with Houston and Seattle?
And I'm sure Seattle's rolling in thinking exactly what you said, Kevin. They're looking at this game. They have to get the win. And I do think with Logan Gilbert coming out here, it gives them every opportunity to be able to beat the Houston Astros. Valdez coming out here versus the Seattle Mariners. He has absolutely struggled versus them, and that's something you really have to take into account. Like, you look at him overall, 14-7 on the season, 2.85 ERA, fantastic numbers. Versus the Seattle Mariners, in his last 5 starts, he's gone 0-3 with an ERA over 6. It's a 6.58. And a whip of 1.85. I just can't trust him out here to limit the bats of the Seattle Mariners. And you look at this Mariners team, we talked about it all season. This is a team that struggles to hit, but for some reason, they always get those hits on Valdez. And I know their bats have been hotter as we've been in the second half of the season here, but we look at the earlier halves of seasons and prior seasons, and this is a pitcher that they're always hitting nice and hard. So I look at Seattle here. I think you take Seattle straight up on the money line. You're getting great plus money at plus 120. And then you look at Logan Gilbert. Now, Gilbert has been strong for his strikeouts. He's had 7 or more strikeouts in his last 6 starts. So he's been getting those strikeouts on the board. They're giving you a 5.5, which I thought was kind of fishy today. It's minus 120 to the over. I know the Astros are a huge strikeout team, but he's been on fire. So taking Logan Gilbert over 5.5 strikeouts at minus 120 for a half a unit, I'll hit on. And then because he's been able to get 7 in his last 6 starts or more, I'm going to hit him for the 7+. That's coming in at plus 180. And if you just want to play around with it, if you're a little worried about the Seattle Mariners for the straight up win here versus the Houston Astros, you could just look at their runs over 3.5 runs at plus 114. I think you're safe with both the money line and the runs, but I know some people like the runs, and especially here against Valdez. I just don't see him not giving up the runs. Yeah. He will get some run support, though, from the Houston Astros after Gilbert is off the field. So a couple different ways to take it. I'll take the money line, though, Kevin.
Joe, we have some late-night stars going head-to-head here with the Dodgers and the Padres. Jack Flaherty against Dylan Cease. L.A., a home favorite. Low total now, 7.5, but perhaps some 8 still available in the market. What are you looking to get involved with here? Big matchup in the NL West.
Yeah, we've got King coming out here for the Padres, and that is where I have my faith. You look at him and how strong he has been, especially on the road. 8-4 on the road with a 2.80 ERA. Now, I know the Dodgers, they are going to come out phenomenally strong in this one. This team has the bats to light up any of these pitchers, but I do think here King will come out strong enough to give the edge to the Padres. Now you can look at the Padres straight up on the money line to get the win, coming in right around that plus 102. You could also look at them in the first 5 innings, but I think they can take it for the full game. I'm going to take King over 17 and a half outs. It is vital for him to stay in this game long for the Padres to be able to get the win. That's coming in at plus 110 for him to go over the 17 and a half out. So we're getting great plus money. And then Manny Machado coming out here plus 340 for the anytime home run. I love what we've seen out of him since the All-Star break, the second half of the season. He has been strong. He's been hitting righties strong, and I think he can come out and get us that great plus money. But we've got to give and tip our hat to Ohtani here. Ohtani for the RBI. We know how strong he's been on the season. 53 home runs, 123 RBIs. He has hit King before. He's 5-12 versus King with 3 homers and 4 RBIs. The RBI for Ohtani coming out tonight is plus 135, and that was in 12 plate appearances that he was able to put up those numbers, Kevin. So if you want to take him for the home run, I don't blame you, but I love the plus money even on the RBI.
Yeah, Ohtani trying a little to maybe see if he can hunt down Aaron Judge for that home run lead. Yeah. Joe, a lot of great stuff tonight, as always. We appreciate the full breakdowns on the baseball board, and we wish you the best of luck.
Best of luck to you, Kevin. You didn't mention the Nationals. Nationals tonight, plus 1.5 and a sprinkle on the money line.
It was delayed, so I thought I could get out of it, and I couldn't. So it makes you the best, Joe. I give you a lot of credit for sneaking that in. All right, we've got Mike Blewett on deck. Pittsburgh, what's the word?
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore, because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Welcome in. It is game time decisions here on a Tuesday night. Decisions certainly need to be made always on a packed baseball slate, WNBA playoffs, but also decisions made throughout an NFL Sunday. Nobody better at helping you make those in-game ones than Mike Blewett. Mike, great to have you here with us for a little bit of time on a Tuesday. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I just need this towel to dab my brow here for a sec.
Wow, okay.
So there you go. A little wave right there. You know, not everybody can be undefeated, Kev. It's a select group of teams. that can be
That's
undefeated, and the Pittsburgh Steelers happen to be one of those teams.
Yeah, they certainly do. It was interesting. We were going back and forth. We've had Mike's tough to get on a schedule. We got to book him out 2-3 weeks in advance. We thought this was going to be a Boston College segment the whole way. They dropped that thing to Michigan State. We had to pivot here. Let's talk Steelers. 3-0. TJ Watt, quite frankly, they can get that Hall of Fame bus ready now if they want to save him some time. Why not, get ahead of your work instead of doing it later? Yeah. But Mike, we look at the best teams in the league. I'm not there. I'm not there yet. If you ask me who are the 10 best teams in football, I would name 10 teams before I get to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is that unfair? Am I late to the party?
No, I don't think that's unfair. They it's funny. You're probably like this with the Eagles. When you're a fan of a team for a long period of time, you sort of get, for the most part, you're not that surprised. You can be surprised in an individual game, but from season to season, you sort of know how this is going to go. And I think a surprise is that Justin Fields is now sort of, with a break along the way, wrestled control of the starting quarterback job for now. And him getting a chance at development, we see this in Minnesota. Potentially we're seeing it in Pittsburgh, where a quarterback with a second chance, in Darnold's case, his fifth chance, is getting an opportunity to develop. And I think this is good for Fields and for the team overall. But they have 3 offensive touchdowns in 3 games. They're not lighting the league on fire. Najee Harris is getting tons of opportunities. The Steelers have now 1 touchdown reception on the year. Justin Fields has 1 of the 2 rushing touchdowns that they have. So, yeah, there's a long way to go. I might have that backwards. 2 receiving touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown, which is Justin Fields' rushing touchdown. So, they have a long way to go to prove people wrong. But we did know before the season that these first 9 games were really important. Everything before their bye week, they really need to make hay. They need to be 6-2, maybe beat the Commanders coming out of their bye week and get to 6-3, 7-2, because those last 6 games now, those last, 8 games are really tough. It's all their divisional games, the Chiefs and the Eagles. Obviously, some of these teams, we have different opinions now than we did maybe 3 weeks ago. Bengals, are the Eagles as strong as we thought they were going to be? Are the Commanders, frankly, as bad as we thought they were going to be? It doesn't appear to be the case. So they need to make hay now, and they are doing it. So 3-0 with 0 style points, but their defense, like you said, is carrying the day.
3-0 with 0 style points is, if anybody out there says, hey, how would you describe the Steelers? Just be like, Mike Blewett said it best. 3-0 with 0 style points is completely spot on. But 3-0 is 3-0. And this happens, we all do it, right, Mike? We try and find the surprise pick that people don't see coming. And with the, people try to do it with Carolina, right? I'm not going to pour on to people. Maybe those people probably have hope restored with Dalton. But when it comes to the Steelers, whether I think that team's great or not, I don't think they're Super Bowl level. The offense, Fields isn't going to hit the level we thought he could at Ohio State. That's just the reality of it, right? But as far as stealing a division goes, the Browns are legit bad. Cincinnati has 3 of the 7 worst losses that I've seen all season long. And the Ravens are 1-2. Now, Baltimore's better than them, but you're up early. And sometimes, if the Steelers all of a sudden, Mike, in this division are battling just Baltimore, right? And we're going to talk Cincinnati in a second here. But if they're battling just Baltimore, they're absolutely live to steal the AFC North.
And they beat Baltimore twice last year, actually, when we thought there was a more considerable gap between the two of them. Granted, Lamar did not play in one of those contests, but they did beat them in the other one. Right now, the Steelers need to pick up the tempo offensively. I think they are doing a good job, not great, in the running game. They are down two offensive linemen starters. Unfortunately, Fautanu, their first-round draft pick, looks like he's gone long-term, if not the entire season, and that's a blow. Broderick Jones, their first-round pick from a year ago, does not appear to be an all-world tackle, at least not yet. And Isaac Seumalo, former Eagle, is going to be coming back. So their offensive line is not where they need to be, and that could conceivably help long-term. And also, I think you and I would both agree that Arthur Smith's play calling leaves a little bit to be desired. It's just not that dynamic right now. It's winning football games, but it's not that dynamic right now. And to the ultimate point that you're making, are people going to consider the Steelers to be a Super Bowl threat until they start putting up points in a more significant way? No, they won't. But for now, as you said, they are a challenge, and they look like a playoff team. You just don't want it to be the playoff teams that we've seen in the recent years where, all right, they got in, but then they get murdered by the Chiefs or whomever the team of the day is.
I will say, because then we're going to do the – Mike's going to stick around. We're going to do Cincinnati and Jacksonville, probably not as much on Tennessee, although I know they're 0-3. Pittsburgh gets into the playoffs, and they get smashed again. I know it's not likely, but the Eagles had to make a hard call and move on from Andy Reid. It's been a very long time. And again, I'm saying this. I know it's crazy. Like Tomlin's 3-0, one of the favorites for Coach of the Year. You cannot just keep eking out above-average seasons and getting railroaded in the playoffs. That's not the cycle that you're looking for if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. What about the Bengals? Any life to this team? We'll ask Mike on the other side.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right, you don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore, because you want that additional rushing yardage. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right, that's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right, you go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
I am a believer in bounce back Burrow. It helped cash a team total against Kansas City. But is it a buy low Burrow? It's possible, Mike. But you'll notice the numbers haven't cratered on the Cincinnati Bengals. We mentioned the make the postseason market with Pittsburgh. That price is at minus right now 134. To make the playoffs for Cincinnati is plus 126. It's plus. Projected to miss the postseason, but not by a lot. Where are you at on an 0-3 Cincinnati right now?
Last night was the most surprising. I thought the New England performance was terrible, maybe accepting some Carolina performances, the worst of the season, especially definitely by a team that we had decent expectations for. They just looked like they weren't ready to play. It looked like a preseason game. The Chiefs game, they battled it out. They lose at the buzzer. Everybody knows that, and they battled the Chiefs tough. But last night was stunning, and mainly because Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, has been so good at holding teams down. I believe last night was the first game with no turnovers and no punts since 1940. Is that accurate? I believe that's what I read earlier today. So that means a rookie quarterback continued to just drive down the field at will on them and throw dimes all night. I'm just stunned at the way the defense.
Lost Mike Blewett there, unfortunately, but I think to Mike's point, for Cincinnati, that offense can play better than what the 3-week total has offered. And again, they scored touchdowns at all three of their drives in the second half. They scored 33 at home. That should be enough to win that game. And that's that's not to take away from Jaden Daniels and Washington, who have scored on 15 of their last 16 drives. I understand that it's all going great for the Commanders. But if you look at the Bengals right now, that defense is not going to figure it out. They have lost some of those pieces, and I don't know if for Lou Anarumo times, I don't want to say times passed him by, but I think I can make all the halftime adjustments, stuff. Well, that's great. Not if we give up too many points in the first half, or whatever it might be, or like what happened in Kansas City, where all of a sudden he's playing a rookie safety when that used to be Jesse Bates, who's now in Atlanta, Mike. And I think that's the tough spot for Cincinnati. You could sell me on certain aspects of a bounce back. Maybe they can get into a postseason, buy low on a win total. They are not a Super Bowl contender. I don't care that Joe Burrow is their quarterback. That defense is one of the 5 worst in the AFC.
Yeah, 5th 0-2 start in the last 6 years, now an 0-3 start. You make good points about the talent level on the defense. Trey Hendrickson asked for a trade. T. Higgins asked for a trade right around draft night. Jamar Chase contract situation dragged. So I hate to keep rehashing, but something is up culturally, has been for a long time with the Bengals. They are very talented now, and they have a franchise QB, but you have to wonder if it's starting to bleed into the fabric of the team and people getting along and being on the same page. We saw this with the Bills last year, where Stephon Diggs' unhappiness bled over to Gabe Davis's unhappiness, and frankly, the team wasn't performing the level that they should. And you wonder if that's the same case with the Bengals now. But yeah, I'm concerned, but I do think the next month could be better for them.
Yeah, the nature of everything right now in Cincinnati does feel dire. I'll get to the Jacksonville Jaguars with Adam Kaplan. So let me then just key in on something with you, Mike, here, because we'll keep it AFC North. The Watson situation, because you know the contracts very well. I know you look up on all these details. Can this team afford to bench this guy if it keeps going this direction?
Really depends what your options are, right? And I don't know if they love their options behind Deshaun Watson. The other day was another embarrassing performance offensively. The Giants, frankly, let them back into it somehow, but they're without Nick Chubb. The problem is you can't just wait for Nick Chubb to come back. Well, he comes back after week 5 or week 7 or week 8. What are we doing?
Yeah.
We can't wait around. The running backs aren't the issue. The offensive line has been, and they are injured. If they start to get guys back, it'll look better. But is it going to look better to the point where they can't even really move the ball offensively? Pockets with Amari Cooper on Sunday, but nothing consistent.
Yeah, and Amari was awful for the first 2 weeks as well.
Yeah.
Just the vibes could not be worse in Cleveland. Mike Blewett, catch him leading the in-game live coverage on NFL Sundays. We appreciate it. We've got Adam Kaplan on deck with you here. It's Game Time Decisions.
do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
All right, we're live right here on SportsGrid. Game time decisions live right now. Philly up on the Cubbies 1-0 thanks to a Bryce Harper first inning home run. The Guardians cashed that Yerfie as well with a 3-0 lead on the Cincinnati Reds. The Milwaukee Brewers strike first against Pittsburgh, scoring in the second inning, still delayed right now in Washington, Kansas City. We'll keep tabs on this baseball board. We got to talk some football. Nobody better than Brady Cannon to help us do that. Brady, how we feeling here on a Tuesday?
Well, I just got through my initial look at the Week 4 card, and I'm kind of proud of myself, patting myself on the back a little bit. I nailed a lot of these lines exactly where the odds makers have put them. Now, that's not great for betting. You want to have some discrepancy, where you think maybe it should be this and they're posting that. But it tells me that I've got a decent handle on where we're thinking these teams are currently. There was a couple that I was off with, one being the Chiefs and the Chargers. It looks like Justin Herbert's not going to play. I got to dive into that further. The one I was off the most with, though, Kevin, was the Patriots and the Niners. I was kind of teetering with 6.5 or 7 in this game, and I looked and saw that they opened at 10. I don't know. The Niners are pretty messy right now. And I know the Patriots aren't great. I think they were exposed last week by the Jets. We kind of know exactly who they are these days. But I'm going to be looking harder at that one for sure.
Agree. Certainly. I think that getting double digits with the injuries that we're seeing in San Francisco right now is a very tempting number. So for you, I'm curious, Brady, when you do the exercise, you try and then set all the numbers before you've seen their number, right?
Yes.
I
try and keep a blank slate here. I really actually try and protect myself from seeing absolutely anything and go in blind and just come up with a number and see what happens.
So it's funny, but I really made a point to do that on last week's slate. And there were 2 spots, I just made note of this, where I was hoping for a number. And what ended up being the actual posted number, I was so off, right? But then I look at the results and think, well, was I wrong or were they wrong? Hear me out, Brady. I'll give you the main one. But I was hoping to get +3 with Tennessee against Green Bay. Because Will Levis is bad. Matt LaFleur is great. Packers had that win. The Titans keep costing people money. I was like, it's not likely, but man, if I could get 3, that would be awesome. The Packers being +3 was so astonishing to me. I ignored what I thought was a good Titans spot and still ended up playing Green Bay just kind of out of principle there, where, you know, I for you, if you find yourself way off from a number, right, is the idea almost, all right, you know what, this is great, I've got value, or do you start to say, where am I missing? What information do I not have at my disposal?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kevin. I think it's a fantastic exercise for people to go through, and hats off to you for nailing that one with the Packers. Yeah, when I see a discrepancy, you know, and I'm talking probably anything from 2 points or more, maybe even a point and a half or more. I just want to dive in further. And even last week, the Buccaneers as 7-point favorites or something like that over the Broncos. I made it like 4 or 4.5, and that was correct. The Washington Commanders, I made 4.5-point underdogs. I was correct. I couldn't believe the Bengals were 7.5. So, and the Eagles, I made a 1-point favorite at the Saints. I was correct. I had a really good week last week, and this exercise, it happened to work in my favor. But when you have those discrepancies, I think that is just an alarm that needs to be sounded to dive into that particular game further. Okay, am I missing something? Is there something I don't know about? You know, is there an update to some of these injuries? But that's where I like to kind of get started week in and week out.
Yeah, I agree. I love the exercise. I think it's a lot of fun. And, you know, it's I was all over Dallas against Baltimore, right? And I kind of, you know what, for a while I was like, ooh, that was a horrific bet. Then I was like, can I steal this? You know, and that one, though, was more spot than number, right? It's not like I thought that Dallas should be a 4-point favorite or anything of the nature. But I thought as a home dog, they were worth a look. And to see them play the way that they did, it does change perception. What's so fascinating, though, is what we've seen from Dallas for the past few years, Brady. When they play a good team, it's almost like you have to overreact to what's in front of them, where you can't use what I'm sure you would kind of consider a true power rating number on Dallas. If they're playing a good team, they're 1 to 2 points worse than that number. They're playing a team like the Giants, they're 2 to 3 points better than that usual number. At least that's been the case with Dak and McCarthy.
Yeah, Dallas is a tough nut to crack, I think, at this point. Now, you look back to week 1 when they beat the Cleveland Browns. I think we know Cleveland's not very good. And then you look at Cleveland beating Jacksonville. I mean, boy, Jacksonville appears to be pretty bad. Obviously, just getting dusted by the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. But I think that's where I want to go right now, this point in the season, is trying to get a feel for all these teams. And, you know, you go from Cleveland losing to Dallas, from Cleveland to beating Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville should have beaten Miami with Tua, by the way. What does that say about the Dolphins? I think the Dolphins are a pretty bad team. The other thing is you look at the Seattle Seahawks. They get out to a lead over the Dolphins, who I've kind of decided are not very good at all, and they couldn't put them away. You know, they let the Dolphins hang around for a long. That score, I think that game was closer than that score indicated. The Seahawks didn't tack on a score to make it 24 to whatever it was until late. That game was like 17-3 forever. Seattle really stalled for a while. Yeah. And they've played New England and they've played the Denver Broncos. So is Seattle really as good as maybe like they've looked like or what their record says? So, you know, whether it's Dallas, Jacksonville, whoever, you really have to. I tell you, a team that's interesting when you kind of sort things out that way, Kevin, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills beat up on the Dolphins, who we're saying are not very good. They beat up on the Jaguars, who we're saying are not very good. And they did not cover and struggled a bit and could have easily lost to the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are pretty good. And maybe the Bills aren't quite as good as they looked on Monday night, as they look over the Dolphins. And now they've got the Ravens. I made the Ravens a favorite in this game, and I bet you a lot of people are thinking we're crazy.
Yeah, you know, I think Baltimore is in a really good spot in that game. I think for me, I don't They definitely should be favored. I just think the Ravens have earned that with what they did in Dallas, and all of a sudden, they should have beat the Raiders, and they could have beat Kansas City. That's kind of how things change all of a sudden with them handling business against the Cowboys. I think for Buffalo, I kind of land somewhere in the middle in that through 3 weeks, I don't think anybody's looked more impressive. But also, the 3 games in front of them is maybe the hardest 3-game stretch any team has all year long at Baltimore, at Houston, and at the Jets. And if they go and they win one of those games, 4-2 is great to start a year, but it changes that perception. They win multiple of these games at 5-1. The Buffalo Bills would have a great argument to belonging as favorites in this conference potentially. Because I'll say this, Kansas City, it's early, but they are having the fraudulent season that everybody called out last year for the Philadelphia Eagles and the year before that the Minnesota Vikings. The Kansas City point differential, despite being 3-0, is all you need to see. Plus 13 on the year. All of these games had moments where it could have just so easily flipped. The difference with the Chiefs, and we'll get Brady's thoughts on this on the other side, and there's actually some golf as well that snuck up on me that I want to ask him about, and I will ask him about Survivor if there's any human on Earth still somehow in a Survivor pool. But the Kansas City
Chiefs. A couple
Chiefs,
of them here at SportsGrid. A couple of lucky survivors here at SportsGrid.
They might.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
All right, we're back with you right here on Sports Grid. Kevin Walsh joined by Brady Cannon. And Brady, I was just kind of talking a little bit about Kansas City through the opening 2 weeks of the season. And look, they're 3-0. Give them credit. That's great to be 3-0. But just for perspective for everyone, the record or the point differentials for the 3-0 teams, plus 55, plus 64, plus 30, plus 25, and they sit there at plus 13. We know they have an ability to turn it on, but I know I expected a better version of Kansas City this year, specifically offensively. That's not even remotely what we've seen from this football team. They look just like last year's group, who got by solely on the idea of it's the Chiefs. I cannot envision that works 2 years in a row. I just can't.
Yeah, no, I think you make some great points there. Last year was definitely a year where the Chiefs just kind of sleptwalked through the regular season. And if you look at some of their numbers, their turnover differential was like -11. Their penalty margin was like -23. For that team to have those metrics and not only make the playoffs, but win the Super Bowl is nearly impossible. And I thought they would actually be a much better version this year than they were last year. But you're right. They should be 0-3, Kevin. There's no way the Falcons should not have won that game the other night. And they had a second chance to punch it in the end zone again after the refs blew a pass interference call on Kyle Pitts when they did score a touchdown on the drive prior. They lose by an Isaiah Likely toe in game one, and another pass interference call, again, justified against the Chiefs, against the Bengals, but they end up winning that one by a point. Now, in the Chiefs' favor, they've played some pretty good teams. I think the Falcons we're starting to realize are pretty decent. The Bengals, I don't think are very good. I think the Bengals are probably better than what we saw in week one. They're not nearly as good as what we saw in week two against the Chiefs. They seem to just get up for the Chiefs, like a lot of people do. The champs have a target on their back. But then on Monday night, I think we saw more of what the real Bengals are. But the Ravens and the Falcons, those are two pretty decent teams, and the Chiefs have struggled with them. So, again, we're talking about these exercises we go through early in the season here. You definitely have to look at the competition as we try and, put a power rating or put some sort of identity on every team across the board and how we can treat them going forward. But yeah, like I said, the Chiefs really should be 0-3. What would we be saying if the almighty Chiefs were 0-3 right now, and they really are that close?
And what I would say is maybe they don't deserve to be 0-3, but they damn sure don't deserve to be 3-0, right?
Yeah.
And I think what happens is the pass interference call that won them the game against Cincinnati was correctly called.
Yes.
It's the fact that then an even more egregious pass interference penalty against Atlanta was not called.
Yeah.
It's just all of the penalty stuff that drove people nuts for a decade plus with Brady in New England has just transferred to Kansas City. And I'm not telling you the league is rigged, because that's stupid. And anyone who says that is wrong. That's the nicest.
I think we
Dallas
see
would
it
win
more
every
on
single
isolated
game
games too, Kevin. I think we see it more if you're watching the Red Zone channel like I do, we don't see all the mishaps and whatnot. But when you have these primetime standalone games, boy, does it stick out. And it's unfortunate. It taints the product. No matter what team it is, it's lousy.
100%. I want to ask you about Survivor quickly, Brady, because I know you're doing the contest show this year. Excellent stuff. Can't recommend people check that out. But with the Survivor report, you guys change the rundown? I don't know. Do we cancel it? How are people still in Survivor? I cannot believe people are still in Survivor. I really can't.
642 entries. 642 entries are left in Circa Survivor. That is 95% of the pool is gone in 3 weeks. Yeah. It's absolute insanity. And we've kind of talked about it a little bit here in the last two segments. Look at some of these teams. If you're a 5.5 point favorite, forget it. You're going to lose outright. That's what's happening. The Raiders, the 49ers, the Buccaneers, the Browns, the Bengals, all those teams go down. And then the week before, it was the 49ers again. It was the Ravens. I can't recall them all off the top of my head, but in the first week it was the Bengals, and that was kind of tame, right? They were the most popular selection, but there wasn't a whole lot that went down after that. Weeks 2 and 3, it's literally been 5 or 6 big favorites that have all lost outright. yeah, hats off to Gabe Morency and Joe Ranieri. They are still alive with an entry in Circa Survivor. And that's where the story is, like you say, the football contest show. What's that segment going to be going forward when we talk about Circa Survivor? The inherent value of your ticket is already almost $25,000 in 3 weeks.
And Brady, if you have time, I'd love to keep you for the golf. Because there's just so much going on with the football. But what I will say for those who are not in Survivor, whether you didn't enter or no longer in it, don't ignore this because, look, at some point a trend will die. But, look, I love putting in the work. I know Brady does. I'm sure a lot of you do. But right now, the early returns, Chiefs, Chargers, there's no work to put in. There's no work to put in. You take the points. If you like, you play some money line, move on to the next game. The Jets, Broncos. But really, like, it's you go 7.5. Wow, I think Denver's really bad. And I think the Jets, I'm very high on the Jets through 3 weeks. I will never lay that number. I could make the number 14. I don't think I would lay the number, Brady, with what I'm watching in this league right now.
I think I can take it one step further. And Kevin, when we have a matchup where both quarterbacks are weak, that's when you absolutely take the points. There are very few quarterbacks in this league right now that are performing at a high level. When you have, the majority of these quarterbacks, I think that contributes to what we're seeing with these underdogs being so live.
I fully agree with that right there. Brady, gracious enough to stick around. We'll get to the President's Cup next with you right here. It's Game Time Decisions on.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
All right, we're talking golf. First time in a while. Couldn't do it without Brady Cannon. That is for absolute darn sure here. Brady, help us set the stage. What exactly do we have going on here with the President's Cup this weekend?
Well, we are at the Royal Montreal Golf Club in Montreal, Quebec. and it is the international side versus the United States. Of course, this is a biannual competition opposite the Ryder Cup. Next year, we'll do the Ryder Cup, so every other year there's a competition like this. The Ryder Cup is the United States against Europe. This is basically everything except for Europe. So you've got, Hideki Matsuyama and Sun Jae-im and Christian Bezuidenhout from South Africa, and you've got Adam Scott from Australia, and you've got a lot of Canadian presence on this team. Mike Weir is the captain from Canada, and then you've got 3 Canadians on the team in Taylor Pendrith, Corey Connors, and Mackenzie Hughes. And I kept trying to find a way to bet the international side because I feel like there's kind of this home field advantage this year and this passion from the Canadians that might put them over the top. But, the more I looked at it, Kevin, I think the price on the United States is cheap. They're a minus 250 favorite. All 12 players on the American side are ranked in the top 25 in the world. The international side has 4. 4 of their 12 players are ranked in the top 25. So I do believe there's a pretty big mismatch here. And what I ended up doing was and I'm okay if you want to lay minus 250. Again, I think that's pretty good value. I think it's cheap on the United States side. And maybe the odds makers are kind of buying into that home field advantage for Canada and the internationals as well. But, so many Americans are familiar with playing in Canada. It's not that far away, right? But rather than laying the minus 250, I'm trying to thread the needle here a little bit. And I said the United States to win by anywhere from 4 to 6 points. So you've got 30 matches that are scheduled to take place Thursday through Sunday. So, you could have 3 different scenarios. It could end up being 17-13. It could be 17.5 to 12.5. Or it could be 18 to 12. I think the United States wins by a decent margin, anywhere from 4 to 6. And that's anywhere from about 3 to 1 to plus 350. So that's the direction I went. Unfortunately, this competition has not been much of a competition. The United States has won 9 years in a row. This is the 15th edition of the President's Cup, and the United States is 12-1-1. So I think they're going to get it done again, and that's the way I bet it. As far as top United States score, top international score, we can get into that as well. But just as far as the side, I went with kind of pick the exact score rather than just pick the winner.
Yeah, I think you got to it's hard sometimes probably to get to a number like that, Brady. Do you think there's if memory serves, the USA underperforms with the Ryder Cup? Do you think there's a little extra motivation for them then heading into the President's Cup here to try and reassert that dominance?
Yeah, maybe, but I just think it's much more of a mismatch. You look at all the talent from the European pool, Rory and Rahm and Victor Hovland, and now you've got Ludwig Oberg, and it's not. And plus, that tradition has been going on for so long. The President's Cup is a baby child relative to the Ryder Cup. So, you look at guys like Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele who have accomplished so much this season. Are they really fired up about now, winning the President's Cup? I think Colin Morikawa might be maybe, and if you can assign a value to one of these players as quote unquote being the most fired up, which is very difficult to do, but I kind of think it might be Morikawa, because he's the best player on the planet that never won anything yet this season. So maybe he's still got a little something where, he wants to go out there and grab a prize, if you will. And I did bet on him to be the top United States scorer at 7-1. And then I added Sam Burns at 9-1 too, because Burns has been playing so well for the last couple of months.
Yeah, and those are numbers that I'm seeing now look like some value's been gained. Colin plus 650, Burns at 7-1 there. The expectation certainly is, with all these superstars here for the USA, it's going to be a big tournament. A little marathon there, Brady, a little half hour. We appreciate it. Best of luck with all the contests. And again, let people know when everything airs and where they can catch it.
Yeah, it comes on late Friday nights, Saturday, overnight in the wee hours, what have you. But you can check everything out at footballcontestshow.com.
Awesome. Again, make sure you check that out. Brady Cannon, we appreciate it here on Sports Grid. We've got the Consig Dave Showerpan right around the corner.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time, I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
All right, live with you on Sports Grid. Countdown is on until I'm off tomorrow. And then I'm going to AEW Grand Slam, and I cannot wait. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pumped up. None of you really care about that. That's okay. It's a little rude of you, but I'm excited for it. Let's update your baseball board here, shall we? 6-2 Cubbies. Whoa. Wow. A bounce back here as they were trailing early 1-0 in this game. Took a 6-1 lead. Seiya Suzuki with multiple RBI. Let me give Suzuki a shout-out for going over his 20.5 home run prop. It was a good year with some of those season-long baseball player props. I had a lot of fun with those. We'll get involved with some of those postseason props as well. Last postseason, oh my gosh, was I so angry about this. And listen, I'm always honest. One of the reasons I elevated my anger towards the teams with buys getting eliminated was my bet on Spencer Strider to lead the postseason in strikeouts. And what did he have, one start? He couldn't beat Arizona. That didn't make any sense. Or the Phillies, whomever it was, that bothered me. But we're going to get a lot of good markets when the baseball playoffs go around. And I know Dave Sharapan is hunting. He's lurking. He's waiting. He has Steeler gear on. Way too much Steelers for me on a Tuesday night, but it's still good to see you, Dave.
I heard Blewett come on. I had something else planned, and I heard Blewett come on and describe the Steelers as having no style. And I said, this can't be. And then I heard Brady talking about making numbers and all this other stuff and things going on. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to change right now because there's only a few 3-0 teams in the league. There's only a couple.
Oh, man.
Oh,
yeah, there sure
it's
is.
nighttime in Pittsburgh behind me.
Bad.
And it's all right
I
here.
don't know.
Everything's coming up.
There might be a
boys.
3-0 cursed.
Huh?
There might be a
Huh?
3-0 curse. They might all be. They might all be bad.
Huh?
I'm not
Pitt
sure.
Panthers. Pitt Panthers, who I don't even like. They're undefeated.
Come on.
Penn State Nittany
Chuck
Lions.
Cantor.
Woo!
No.
How about Penn State?
Oh, now.
What?
Hold on. All right.
Whoa.
You're moving me. This is what you're doing to me, right? I'm zooming around the room, like and I'm trying to think about what do I want to grab and catch. And I'll be honest with you, I want to go Penn State.
Can we go
He knows
Skeens?
it. Stop. Throw it out. Let me just tell you, they eliminated him from the Cy Young a little quick, if you ask me. I'm just being honest, Dave. The kid's the ERA's under a 2. I mean,
Under
what
2.
else do we got to do? The Jackson Merrill. Cut it out, this Jackson Merrill.
Please.
Enough. With a 290. What's the BABIP? I don't care. All right, hold on. Easy. Composure. Structure. We got to play in the pocket. We got to play in the pocket, all right?
All right, stay in there. Come on.
You mentioned the 3-0 teams. There's a market.
Yes.
Final team to remain undefeated.
Oh.
This is a market that is heavily favoring the Kansas City Chiefs at a minus 120 price.
Wow.
Plus 480 Buffalo, who's a dog this week. 5-1 Minnesota, dog this week. 6-1 Pittsburgh, slight favorite this week.
What?
Seattle, 8-1, a dog in Detroit. When you see that market, Consig, what do you think?
I want to know who made that number. I want to know who's responsible for that number. That's the first question. That's the first order. I look over and say, hey, Walsh, are we in a room? Did right side make that number? Or what's going on? Are we in a wide receiver room? Are we in a lineman room? Where are we at?
Yeah.
Listen, the Chiefs are going to win, aren't they? They're going to win. They're playing Easton Stick. That's why they're the favorite. Now, I don't know about them second and third choices there. Minnesota's got a tough game in Green Bay. Buffalo's got a tough game against the Ravens off of perfect Monday night performance. There is nothing to take away from the Monday night game except two things. Buffalo's for real. They're in the discussion again as the best team, not only in the league, not only in the AFC, but in the league. They can run the ball. Look out. In Jacksonville, I'd argue they're in big trouble. I don't know if you look for them coaches to get fired, first one to fire, but it might be him. They're in big trouble. The Steelers going to the Colts. This is scary, K-Dub. Like, I'm going to listen to the rhetoric all week, and I don't know. I don't know yet because they're doing it with style. I would argue, and if Blewett was right here, I love Blewett, I would tell him, Mike, you're Mr. Style. You walk around, you sleep with a pocket square in your every night. I believe he has a pocket square in his pajamas. He knows about style. Defense is style. They got the best defense in the league. 1, 2, or 3. There's no argument. Homer, call me whatever you want. And I got Steelers stuff to wear. That defense is style, is it not?
Well, hold on. Let's put this on the table, all right? If you are calling Dave a homer because he says Steelers are the best, one of the 3 best defenses in football, you're crazy. You're a crazy person.
Come on.
You're a crazy person. Heading into the year, I would have told you they were the second best in the sport with only the Jets in front of them. I've found out I'm very high on the Jets. And what's funny is I didn't place Jets futures, but through 3 weeks, I guarantee you I'm higher on the Jets than almost anyone you know. Is what I would pretty much say.
Are you still there? Has anything changed to change your opinion about it?
No. I wasn't as high on the Jets preseason as I am through 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
I've been looking at some numbers. I've been looking at some numbers. I'm not, I don't know if I need to give up on the Miami stuff. Probably.
Oh boy.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's bad.
We talked with Brady about making numbers. It was funny, but you and I last Tuesday had a conversation about that game in Seattle. And I was like, man, I was hoping I could get 7, And we kind of laughed like, yeah, that wasn't happening. They did boom, 4.5. I'm glad everybody bet it because I didn't bet it. I'm not betting a bad number. 4.5 is a terrible number with Skylar Thompson, for me at least. Now, I was going to lay it with Seattle. I didn't get to that side. But Miami now, Tyler Huntley. Again, what are you doing with this team if you're in the room?
It's brutal. These are the hard ones. When you don't know. With the quarterback situations, usually you get to like week 6 or 7 where this becomes an issue. And it's a great exercise. And I've told people this for years, literally decades. Make your own numbers. And you'll find where you're right and where you're wrong. Now, when you're wrong, that doesn't mean the odds maker was right. That means the outcome led it to be right. You have to continue the process. And as you do, your numbers will likely get closer to what actually comes out. But, there was a number in the summer for every game in the NFL. And you can go get that now. I have mine here that I referred to before every week because the advanced number comes out here in Vegas a week before. So you get a much better shaped number than you do in May at the draft. Those numbers are all over the place. I mean, think about the college. Michigan was a 10-point favorite against USC. By the time that game kicked off on Saturday, K-Dub, it was 6 the other way.
I mean, danger man Alex Orgy, though. I mean, come on now, good number. That kid almost covered a 10. He almost got Michigan teams frisky, man. That team, I'm just telling you.
Can he
Hey, not really. Not really. That's all right. That's all right. We're not worried about that. We're not. Yeah, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, getting down that field. That's how it looks, baby.
Big place.
I like that Michigan team. You alluded to the Jaguar struggles.
Yes.
We're going to look at their outlook and a really interesting Week 4 number with Dave next.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. I mean, we know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are an absolute mess. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 11-1. You have the worst record in the NFL. Comparatively, to win the AFC, they are 41-1. That is not how things were supposed to go for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dave alluded to the first coach fired market, which, I don't know, maybe up north I know you could possibly get access to.
Yep.
I know it exists somewhere kind of thing. Doug Peterson could very well find himself as the first man chopped. It's on the board. I won't say it's won't. It's not. But, going into Monday night, doing some look-aheads, I said, man, Cincinnati, Carolina, can I get 3, 4, maybe 4.5? And I saw Jacksonville, Houston. I said, can I get 7? Here's the thing, though, right? See, last week I asked for numbers and didn't get them, right?
Right.
What happens when you actually get the number you want? Jacksonville plus 7's out there, Dave. Probably. I don't place bets till Saturday night, Sunday, though, so maybe by then it'll be 6.5. I'll leave it alone. I'll probably buy low Jacksonville. They're not as bad as they looked in that game. Are they?
Oh, boy. I don't know, K-Dub. After watching them, I don't want much to do with them. I really don't. That's a team that's just total disarray.
Yeah, but isn't that the recipe?
That is, usually. But this is a different year. This is one of those years, and you talked about it a little bit with Brady with the Survivor. We got a couple people left with the Survivor out here. The teams that are going to be picked against most are right there. Tennessee, Carolina, and the Patriots. Can't pick against the Giants no more because, like my buddy, the Shrew, he's watching us right now. He said, too much Pittsburgh stuff for a Cleveland guy. Cleveland's a mess. Look at that number, 20-1. They could go bad in that division. They could be in big trouble.
Oh, yeah.
But survivors are going to go against Tennessee. Not this week, actually. This will be the game the Dolphins win. Now, how can they be a pick 'em at home against the Titans? Nothing makes any sense. The Red Rifle just came out to Vegas, took everybody's money. Panthers came here, the game flew over. People making business decisions. Antonio Pierce riled everybody up out here. They're going, what did he mean by that? Are they going to cut somebody? Are they going to trade Devontae to the Jets now? Does he want out? The local news is incredibly nuts right now over this team and what Antonio Pierce said. But I'm telling you that third team down on that list, I mean, it got to be, if you're looking at worst record, how many more games are the Patriots going to win? I mean, seriously. And I don't mean to just besmirch the Patriots and my co-host, Matt, on Bostonian versus the book. They got a good defense. They got no offense. None. And at some point in this league, KW, you got to score. I mean, the Steelers are doing it. 3 touchdowns and 3 wins.
Yeah, New England's terrible. They might be the right side, though, in the Bay. I'll tell you that. We're lurking, is what I would say. We're lurking. Let me bring up the Major League Baseball board here because, again, Dave Sharapan always keeps tabs on the Major League Baseball board, and he'll be live with you on In-Game Live tonight to place some live action. We know that. Live right now, we've had a few games join the window. Baltimore striking first against the Yankees as they are now up 1-0 in that game. We are scoreless in Toronto, Boston, Miami, Minnesota, Atlanta, New York. Tell me, Dave, what were you looking at heading into tonight's baseball slate?
Can't wait to watch the Dodgers and the Padres because the Padres have got everything going the right way. Another nice price on them tonight. So me and Wetzel will be focused on that. The Tigers already run, K-Dub. You know what I'm doing. After Sunday, I've been out looking around, shopping the prices for different things for the exactas and future prices on the Tigers and who in the American League is actually going to win that wild card. And when I looked down today, I was like, all right, we got to talk about a couple different things. I guess it's the Mets. Like the Mets and the Braves is another one that I think the Braves have to sweep them. And knowing that, I want to bet the Mets every day because I don't think the Mets are getting swept. So is today the day the Braves win? I mean, they're in the second inning, still scoreless. The other one I think we have to mention, we're contractually obligated to mention, the Chicago White Sox. You and I and everybody else in the content space is hopefully going to remember that summer that we got to spend talking about the worst team in baseball history. And they're home against the Angels today. Some books have them at the minus for maybe the 10th or 11th time all season? Come on.
Right.
Like the kids like to say, bro, that can't be. I guess it is. I don't know. We'll be watching it.
I think the most tempting thing for the White Sox, you really want to send them off in appropriate fashion, will be betting them each game against Detroit. Because you're going to get an even bigger number than you would expect, knowing that Detroit needs all those games.
Yeah.
Detroit's going to be minus 200 every game, no matter what? No matter
what? On the road, at least. No Scooble. He's not. He got his win today. Sit down.
Hold on.
Get us home.
Give me
the games don't mean nothing.
The final game.
20.
Final game. Tigers need it. Screwball's on the mound. Hypothetical number. They throw cannon. Chicago. Tigers minus 380.
It's over $3. I don't know if we could get that high on the road. Although that's actually a good thing because they're going to bat 9 times. I mean, come on.
No, Detroit's up.
Please. That's what I'm saying.
Detroit's home in that game.
No, I thought the White Sox are home all week. No, it's games in Detroit. We might have to approach
380. Good number.
No, we might have to use 4.
I'll tell you this. Wheelman smart, man. I'll bet him at 4 on a Sunday, too. What am I doing? We'll be right back with your Game Time decisions. Oh, my gosh.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback 1. It may be a low end quarterback 1, but a quarterback 1 nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Game Time decisions. Kevin Walsh, Dave Sharapan. Dave, let me ask you something. Where do you think
Yes,
your
sir.
focus will be primarily tonight on In-Game Live?
Oh my. We'll be all over the baseball. I had to put the listening glasses on.
All over the baseball.
When you say I have to ask you a
Yeah.
question, I have to get ready for this.
Yeah.
So I will be watching the baseball 100%.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be looking ahead to some unbelievable college football games. One being, I can't get enough of this Georgia and Alabama game and line and all that other stuff. Wetzel and I will be discussing that amongst other things. But I know what it won't be on, and I know this is what you're going to hit me with. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Little,
here's the
little hoop,
deal.
little basketball.
I would say all season, Dave and I have spoke kindly to the W. So I want to add that clarifier. But
Without a
tonight, the W, despite having their two best teams in action, in the playoffs feels secondary. And that's because tonight they don't get to brand it as our playoffs begin. Instead, they began Sunday, which leads me to my question. Now, Dave, why? I know it's hard for me to ask this question and then ask you to answer it as nicely as possible, but the betting handle on the opening day of the WNBA playoffs, which was a Sunday in September, looked like what?
Let's see. What could it be? President's Cup.
Tough question.
Like there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And no one even asked for it in the book. I was in the book on Sunday. Wasn't on any of the TVs. There wasn't. I walked around and I said, maybe somebody's got it on their own individual carousel. They didn't even have it on. And it is a shame because there's betting opportunities. And then the last game was the Aces.
It's so upsetting.
And I actually got to
upsetting.
watch some of it. But you're right.
Yeah.
We devoted a lot of time to it all summer. You guys do it. Casey does a WNBA show. JY's on here all the time talking about it. You're following it.
Yeah.
All these markets. And then they open up against the NFL on a Sunday. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I
doesn't make any sense.
Truly, I don't bring this up. We know this. There are people who love to take shots at that league. This is coming from a completely different place. I really enjoy the WNBA. That was the case before Caitlin took the world by. I was at the game the Aces won the title last year. I'm a legitimate fan of the WNBA.
Oh,
that is so upsetting. They just cut the momentum out in a way that is unimaginable. Now I upset myself on the way out. I shouldn't have done that. I'll tell you this though, you might end up having to tune in to Liberty Dream because Atlanta's up near double digits here, trying to snag one on the road.
Does that sound like an
4.5
in-game play? Hello?
4.5 on the Liberty. Big total, $167 and a hook.
Okay.
It's a big number. That might be a live under.
Big number. That might be a live in play.
12 and a hook.
Liberty aren't losing a game. Can't be losing this game, can they? Come on.
Defense ratchets up, live under. Can't be the only one thinking it. Can't be the only one thinking it.
Right. So I got 5.5 here, 168.5. Any value? What do you think? Before I get out of here,
I think under.
You know, Wetzel's going to lead with
under.
it. He's going to hit me with it right out of the gate. I don't know.
That's
either that or Rutgers football on Friday night. Rutgers.
Should I go?
Yes. Only because I got the kids there. They're working it. The daughters. We'll have you set up carte blanche, whatever you want.
Oh.
Yeah.
Make a couple phone calls.
That's
all right, Dave.
That's a fundraiser.
Clear the schedule.
Fundraiser for the kids. So
right.
You're set up. You just let me know.
All right. Yeah. We'll make that happen. Consig, good as always, man. Enjoyed In-Game Live. He's right around the corner. We're going to leave you with this. We're going to get in the mix as we get out of here. And I got to tell you, folks, it's been a delightful Tuesday. Appreciate everybody that stopped by. Great to catch up with kind of the regular. I'm like I own a bar, and all the regulars come in on Tuesdays. Dave comes in, Brady comes in, Joe Madden, coach, right? We got to cut coach off probably like a little earlier than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's sizzle that under. Liberty Dream 172.5. I'll see you on Thursday night.